Hi everyone, welcome to CGM, Comics Games Media. Today I'm going to be giving you my review of Deadpool. So I know this movie came out back in February, so it is late, but due to a request I received, I decided I'll give a review of this movie. So if you haven't seen Deadpool yet, I'm going to give you my spoiler-free review quickly. So Deadpool is pretty much an funny action-based comic book movie. So even if you don't enjoy comic book movies, you might enjoy this because it makes fun of some of those superhero stereotypes. So the premise of Deadpool is pretty much a simple, basic love story and revenge story. So if you are looking for character development or an interesting plot, you're looking at the wrong movie. However, if you are looking for an action-based or comedy movie, I highly recommend it. The action is what you expect from an R-rating movie with the gratuitous violence, and the jokes are funny, especially if you haven't seen any of the previous footage from like any trailers or teasers. Okay, so now I'm going to get into my spoiler review of the movie. So if you haven't seen the movie, I'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I didn't enjoy the movie as much as all the other reviewers and critics say. Don't get me wrong, this movie is still good. However, I found the jokes in this movie very hit or miss or just chuckle-worthy. This is mostly because from watching the teasers and trailers, I saw a good chunk of the jokes that are being used. So hearing them a second time, they didn't work for me. For example, hearing when Deadpool meets Negasonic Teenage Warhead and he says, "Negasonic Teenage, what the? That's the coolest name ever!" Or when he's getting experiments done on him and he's saying, "Don't make the suit green or animated." Or when he's talking to T.J. Miller's character Weasel and he's saying, "You look like an avocado had sex with an older avocado." None of these one-liners worked for me the second time. If anything, I just chuckled at them. Also, regarding the opening credits, I did like how they did mention, for example, the studios as the assholes and the writers as the real heroes. It is cool and interesting way to start off the movie. However, I didn't love it as much as everyone else says they did. So this is why I mentioned the movie is funny if you haven't seen any previous footage. However, the jokes that weren't mentioned in the trailers, like such as the meta humor that makes fun of the X-Men franchise, Fox Studios, all that is really well done. One of my favorite scenes is when Colossus is dragging Deadpool and he's like, "We're gonna take you to the professor," and he's like, "Which one, McAvoy or Stewart?" Or when he's in Xavier's mansion and he's talking about, and he just peeks through the door, he's like, "Why isn't there anyone here? It feels like the studio couldn't even afford any more people." One of my other favorite scenes that I didn't see coming was when he meets the taxi driver again and he finds out that he kidnapped the guy who was engaged to the girl he likes. I thought that was funny. I thought that was the first time we met that taxi driver. It was just pretty much a one and done scene, so it was pretty cool to see the guy come back again and take Deadpool's advice. Another thing I loved about the movie was that they didn't shy away from the R rating. Ryan Reynolds was pretty much born to play Deadpool here with his ability to shit talk and his crude humor. I remember back in Blade Trinity, if you ever seen that movie before, I remember when he was playing Hannibal King. I loved the scenes when he was caged up and he was just talking shit to Triple H. I thought this guy was really good at this role. So as I mentioned with the R rating, this movie is not like your very average comic book superhero movie. So you actually get to see Deadpool stab people with swords or decapitate them and like kick his head off. Or also like seeing scenes when he's one of the funniest scenes is when he's about to kill someone on a Zamboni. He's like, "You'll be dead in 5 minutes." I also thought the addition of Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead was really well done. It's not like you're using major X-Men characters, but you're using at least a well-known character, using Colossus, and he's playing a good counter to Deadpool's anti-hero with all the classic good guy stereotypes and saying like breakfast is the most important meal of the day, or not hitting a lady when her breasts are exposed, or the classic good guy superhero speech in the end, but instead just Deadpool just blows the guy's head off right there and then, and Colossus just vomits. Speaking of Colossus, I want to mention another part of the movie I really enjoyed with the effect and sound design. So when Deadpool punches Colossus and he breaks his limbs, I thought that was really well done because every time I saw that when he punched him, I always had this gut-wrenching reaction. With regards to the story, it is pretty basic, so it does have some pros and cons to it. In today's market with all these big superhero movies and are always trying to build a franchise over it and with the grand 5-year plan of what they're trying to do, it is nice or refreshing to see a standalone movie just taking place in its own small story. You can just come and watch it and that's it. You don't have to worry about anything. If you are going to foreshadow, this is pretty much a very great way to do it. All they did was take 2 minutes in the end credits, just mention a quick cameo of oh, we're going to have Cable in the next movie. Great way to do it. Get the fans excited. It's not interfering with the story. Very well done. However, the story is boring. Without the humor that Ryan Reynolds adds as Deadpool, this movie would have been pretty bad as just an action movie. Also, Ajax as a villain was a little bit disappointing. He was a pretty decent antagonist for Deadpool, but he didn't really add much to the movie. One small nitpick I had with the movie was regarding when Ajax was talking about his superpowers, and he's like saying, "Oh, I don't feel anything anymore because his nerves have been damaged." But then later on, he's talking to Wade, and he's saying, "I'm not doing this because I need to. I'm doing this because I want to." It's like that conflicted with what we said earlier. I know it's a small thing to nitpick, but for some reason that really bugged me. So overall, this movie is great. I would have enjoyed it much more if I didn't see any of those trailers to ruin those jokes that I saw. However, I do recommend if seeing it for the first time. But after watching this movie a second time, unfortunately the jokes again don't hit, and the story is very lackluster, so it doesn't really hold your interest, so it's not very entertaining the second time watching it. But this movie was a fantastic achievement, finally getting Ryan Reynolds to greenlit this project after about 7 years, after that disaster that was X-Men Origins Wolverine, when they made that terrible decision to sew Deadpool's mouth shut, and all the fans backlash. So it's about time that Fox Studios redeemed themselves from that terrible decision and finally get the chance to please the fans. On a side note, I do want to mention a marketing campaign for this movie, which I thought was brilliant. The way Ryan Reynolds posted a video of him as dressed as Deadpool and the kids dressed as the X-Men during Halloween. Also, the billboard ads are pretty funny with all the signs of the emojis, and also one of my favorites were when he made the Purdue commercial of like The Bachelor, and he was trying to appeal to the more female demographic. That concludes my review of Deadpool. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your opinion in the comments below. I still plan on doing my pitch of how I would have done Batman v Superman, but it is a bit delayed. So in the meantime, I'm going to do my review of Civil War, so at least you have some content to enjoy. If you are interested in watching that video, just feel free to subscribe. Try to get that out next week. And thank you for watching, and have a good one.